Well, we won't be broadcasting on Twitter. Welcome, everybody, to the live show where you get to see everything live, nothing edited. So if you ever want to do this kind of thing, you'll kind of see some of the problems you run into. Anyway, this is my guest, Tony Silva, who's an excellent singer, pianist, live performer right here in Vegas. So you can always see him if you can find him. But you can try to find him on Facebook. That's where he lives as far as the social goes. And we're going to be deconstructing the Beatles. Boy, is that a big task. Are you scared? I am.
I'm scared.
Yeah. But we're going to be looking at them so that we can learn, especially from John Lennon. Tony has selected, the guest always gets to select. Right now, I'm using my students, but later on, if a guest want to be on the show, you can, put a comment in, and I can get in touch with you. We're going to close the far play video because it does weird things, so I'm shutting that off. Okay, so we're only on. Oh, let's see. You've left StreamYard.
Oh, wait.
There you are.
There, I'm back.
There we go. Okay, let's put him back in here. There we go. Oh, I can't be by myself, guys. I'm scared. But it's more live with a guest. And we're going to first do a little bit of myth busting. And this myth may or may not be true for you, but basically the issue is that many people teach the idea that a singer should be perfectly on pitch and perfectly in rhythm. And that's just not true. Not based on what's going on in the real world out there. The real world that we're listening to, the people that we love, the classic great singers of all time, they do not sing perfectly on pitch and they do not sing perfectly in rhythm. They sing better than that. And that's what we're going to expose. It's better than being perfectly on rhythm and perfectly on pitch. So if you want to learn from the greats, this is an eye-opener. If you don't know this and you're trying to do what your teacher tells you or what you've read in a book or something, that you got to be in the pocket and you always got to be on pitch and all that kind of stuff, then you're never going to sound like the people you love. And when you go out and perform, the people who love that genre are going to wonder why you're singing that way. Notice how I said why you're singing that way, because it's like, really? Okay. Anyway, let's get to it so that things I'm saying make a little more sense. We're using a software called Melodyne. I've got to put it on the stage. Give me just a moment, please. Okay. Here we go. Share screen. Now I've got to still put it on the stage. So many things to do, everyone. Here we go. All right. Now you can see Melodyne. Now this is just a short section of John Lennon's voice singing, a day in my life, a day in the life, a classic from the 60s. Yeah, was Sgt. Pepper's. Why'd you pick this, Tony?
Well, John Lennon doesn't really have one of those sort of straightforward, normal voices. He has a relaxed sort of approach to things, and he has a phrasing that's very unique to Lennon, push the tone aside. It's very unique to him, and there's a wonderful emotion that comes out, while it just seems like he's almost effortless at the same time.
Yeah. So you want to kind of make that part of your own world?
I'd like to try to be able to, find some of that influence and apply it.
Yeah, I like the way you said that, influence, because you don't want to be him.
No.
Especially, even though he's not around, you still don't want to be him. Because his records are everywhere, right? Yeah. So you just be there's a saying that I like that when you try to be somebody else, you find out that place is already taken.
Well said.
Yeah, so in physics, you can't have two things in exactly the same place at the same time. So you're not really going to get over it very well unless you're doing a Legends Act. And actually, if you're doing a Legends Act, you could use this information. and sound exactly like Lennon. I mean, approximately. Anyway, okay, so the way we're looking at this thing here, these orange, kind of gold images here are lovingly called blobs. And what they represent is pitch. So the first thing I'll do is I'll just play what we're looking at. This is John Lennon all by himself. I used a stem splitter so that we're only hearing John without any music. Later on, we'll hear him and the music when we use Audacity. But this one's going to be the Mythbuster. But let's listen first before I go into any more detail. Here we go.
I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade. And though the news was rather sad, but I just had to laugh.
I love that part.
That's great.
I saw the photograph.
Okay, so here's the myth busting. All right, so we can see here the pitch we're going to look at first, and then we'll look at the rhythm second. 16th note should be good enough. Okay, so these gray areas are where the pitch should be if it was perfectly in tune with the piano. So these lines from left to right are the actual piano pitches. Like here you see it says D, C sharp, C. And so this pitch here, we don't know which one it is for sure. Melodyne says it's C4. So it's closer to C4 than it is for B3. But when you look at it, you're kind of wondering. Melodyne will show us exactly where it is. I'm going to put my, I'm going to click on here and you'll hear a tone. And then you can see right here in these little boxes right here that it says it's C4, that John was singing a C4, which is, you know, here. And, but it's quite flat. I mean, it's 65%. But we love it.
Yes, we do.
This is, again, the bizarre thing. As I go through this, you're going to say, wait a minute. I love his voice. What are you doing? You can't tell me he's off pitch. Well, this is the genres that we grow up with. Our ears kind of tune to them. We actually find ourselves thinking this is perfectly on pitch. And in this world, it is. Every genre has its own tuning. Piano tuning is for classical music. For jazz, well, and more for jazz, but for all the pop stuff, rhythm and blues, country, all those things, this is closer to the tuning you're going to see. The other week we looked at, or the other day, it wasn't that long ago, we looked at Aretha Franklin doing Natural Woman. She was almost 60% sharp on some of her notes and never sang a flat note. All the notes were either sharp or on pitch. So it's a very erratic world, and that's what you need to know to do well. So here's the next note. 26% flat. This one is really 58%, 33%. I mean, this is going to get boring, but now 12% is pretty close. I mean, that's almost like you'd almost could say that's on pitch. This one's 58%. This one's 27%. Now, these little lines in here, let me get this, are his vibrato. And you just kind of have to listen for them as we play this again. But they do express, you know, what's different about him. And these other lines here are artifacts. I mean, they're like da-da-da-da. There's a slurs. And I said we're going to talk about rhythm. These singers do not match perfect rhythm all the time. Now, he starts on here. This is pretty close. See, this one's late. This one's early on. This is early. This one's quite early. Right in the middle, basically there. So who knows whether it was early or late. It's not. It actually becomes irrelevant, and we'll talk about that later. To learn this, Melodyne is not how you learn how to learn from him. This is just to myth bust, to open your mind, to say, wait a minute, great singers are erratic. That's what I want to be. I want to be erratic. I want to be an artist. I want to do things my own way so that people say, that's Tony, that's Brad, or that's Susan, or whatever. So here again, really early, off pitch, 33% flat. I love this thing here because this is where he says graph. So it's only a half step. He didn't do a whole step like a piano would be. Let's see, what is that supposed to be? G3. It wouldn't be like, you know, he's kind of actually dipping down to F sharp. So he's like here almost. So pianos can't do it. You see, that's the thing, except for these new keyboards that are coming out that Tony loves. But this is what singers can do, this kind of expression. So now that I've kind of myth busted, let's listen again.
I read the news today, oh boy, about a lucky man who made the grade.
This is one of John's live recordings, by
And
the way.
though the news was rather sad,
So this was unedited.
well, I just had to laugh.
Love that.
I saw the photograph.
All right, that's good. Any questions on that, Tony?
No, not yet. So far, everything makes sense. I do have
Yeah.
one kind of subtle observation going on.
Excellent.
This is all post-India and post-Eastern music influence.
yeah.
And I'm curious if the sitar had anything to do with him approaching vocals the same way.
It's a good question. Probably the way we'd answer it. Well, yeah, he definitely did start. He changed his phrasing quite a bit.
Okay.
But I do believe from experience that if we went back to his earlier stuff and looked at it, we'd still see a lot of flat pitch.
Okay.
But we still see, these, what do you want to call them, incidentals or inflections. One of the things I love he does right here is, I read the news today. Oh, he doesn't go, oh boy. And it really makes the oh stand out.
Right.
I read the news today. Oh boy. Great artist. Always, he's one of those people that probably always was a great artist. Okay, so I'm going to move on from here. Now I'm going to show you just how ridiculous trying to learn something that is perfectly on pitch and perfectly in rhythm is. As soon as I find my little get out of here card. Come on. I know you're... Oh, there we go. Okay, now I can get out of here. All right, so... All right, now the next thing I'm going to show you is sheet music. And Tony, being a pianist, is particularly aware of this, plus he's done some of these shows with me before. And it's really interesting to see this because here we see, let's see, I need to put this on the stage. So I'm going to stop that guy and start this guy. Don't you hate people who talk to computers while they're working?
Yeah,
I know, I do.
I'm self-loathing, apparently.
Yeah, I hate it. Okay, here it is. That's off, share screen. Now I'm going to put you in the stage. Okay, now everybody can see the sheet music.
Here it is.
Let me clean this up a little bit. I can make this look a little easier by moving that over there. There we go. So it's pretty visible, right?
Yes.
Okay. So here's the notes that we just heard him sing. Now this MuseScore company provides the sheet music and a player. And so I'm going to actually play these notes. And it's a synthesizer that plays them, so you kind of have to listen. But notice how different these notes sound compared to what we just heard John Lennon do. Here, let me give you a bar ahead. Here we go. So elevator music, right?
Beatles do music.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of they were. Whoever their publishers were very smart. They didn't release a lot of this information for a lot of years. Good. They kept their stuff unavailable. They didn't. I don't think they were able to use any of the Beatles music for commercials until probably the 90s or something like that. I mean, we're talking about 30 years that they kept a lid on anybody being able to use Beatles music. So, but, the sheet music was available. Whether they would have allowed this thing to play it or not, who knows? Anyway, it's great we can do it now. And one of the reasons I know this doesn't work is because as a coach of almost 50 years now, in the 80s, and I always like to make my little joke, when we had to walk through the snow for 20 miles to get to school, We did not have all of these gifts that you guys have. And I'm not putting that down. I think you should have them, and I think you should use them as, to your best possible advantage. But we had pianists come in on the voice lessons to work on the songs with the singers, and the pianist would play these notes, and the singers would sing them, and I always knew there was something wrong because I've been listening to this music since I was 12 years old back in the 60s. It just didn't sound right, but there was nothing I could do. I had to use pianists because we didn't have tracks. Karaoke wasn't really hot yet. MIDI came in the mid 80s. I started using it, but still, it was very stilted. And of course, when a pianist is playing this stuff, quite often they were classical players because they could read, and they had the wrong feel as well. Just at least this pianist on here, has a pretty good feel. But sometimes these classical players like ding ding ding, just never really felt right. So I'm not saying don't use sheet music. It's a nice reference point. But as you can see, all these notes are perfectly on pitch. John is not. They're perfectly in rhythm. John is not. And McCartney would not be either. And virtually every other pop singer that you'll ever hear. So don't go here to learn how to be a great singer. That's my advice. All right, so we can close this up now and move on to the real fun stuff. This is called Audacity. It's a DAW. That sounds stupid saying it, but it's a DAW, and that means DAW. It's an acronym for Digital Workstation, and it allows us to do multi-track and create all kinds of stuff. But what I'm using it for is to teach. And so I use it by loading the song up onto it first so that it looks like this here. And I've used my stem splitter here. So this track is straight music, and this track is John. So what are we going to do with this? Well, this allows us to highlight the area that we want to learn, and it allows us to loop it and listen over and over again without having to stop, start with the stop, start button. And we can highlight from here the section we want to work on. So I'm going to click play here. I've already marked this spot here, this line right here. And now I'm going to click play, and when it gets to the point where I want it to stop, I'm going to click pause. So I'm going to start a little earlier than that. So let's start back here.
I read the news today, oh boy.
Now with Melodyne, I did a lot more than that because I just wanted to, do the myth busting. But when it comes to learning from these great artists, I can tell you right now, this phrase has got so much information in it that you've never heard before. You say, yeah, sure, Brad. Well, no, I'm serious. I do this all day long, and very few people have ever heard these details. And we're going to talk about why. And the main reason is usually when someone tries to learn a new song, they just start playing it and they just start singing along. And nowadays you have the lyrics, so you don't even have to bother, doing the stop and start and writing down the lyrics like we used to. So you just start singing, and you just think you're getting it because you're hearing John there, and you kind of hear yourself, or you hear John only and you don't hear yourself at all. That happens as well. And the problem is because you're not really able to hear what's going on, you're not really getting the details. And in this music, the devil's in the details, right? So what makes John great is not necessarily the melody he wrote, even though that was incredible, but what we're looking at right now is how his voice phrases, how it inflects, how it plays with the rhythm, how it plays with the pitch, like we showed you on Melodyne. And how are we going to learn that? Well, we can't learn it from Melodyne. That's not really a good option. We can learn it from here. So this creates a loop right here between these two little things here. Now you're saying, Brad, you're going too fast. Well, I am. This is being recorded, so you can go back and take a look at this if you want to learn more. And then also I'll talk about my video program, which teaches you everything about it from the very beginning to the very end of a song. And you can use any song you want. On my program, I used a song called The Rose from Bette Midler, but you can put death metal in there. You can do whatever you want. You can put classical music in there. Audacity doesn't care. The main thing is you need to learn how to use this tool. So I'm going to play it, and we're going to listen to it at the original tempo. Here we go.
I read the news today, oh boy.
And we repeat.
I read the news today, oh boy.
Okay. Now I know from experience we're all going, yeah, I heard that. I know what he's doing. Yeah, okay. Let's check that out. How we're going to do that is we're going to slow it down. Slowing things down, just like they do with video when they're analyzing athletes, dancers, and so forth, we do it by slowing down the tempo of the track. So I go to Effect. I know you guys can't see this off screen with a Mac, but I go to Effect and I select Pitch and Tempo. Then I select Tempo by itself. And the wonderful thing about today's music is, or digital software, is that when I change the tempo, it won't change the pitch. And if any of you ever played with vinyl and you go from 45 to 33, it drops an octave. Sounds like exactly. So. And sometimes this sounds a little bit like it too, but it's much better. And I always recommend that you use this. Check this box here. Use high quality stretching. It sounds so much better when you change pitch and tempo than if you don't click it. Then always with computers, click preview, try to get some idea. I'm going to go minus 30%. John's not moving real fast, so it's not a tempo issue. It is what I would call a detail issue. So we're going to go to minus 40% for details. I'm previewing. I know you're going, Brad, really? Well, hang in there, guys. This will all make sense. Now, there's quite a bit of music here at the beginning, so I'm not going to use that right now. Let's just listen to John and listen for details. So I'm going to set this loop a little bit different here. Later on, we'll bring that back in because Tony's going to sing for us, and he should have an introduction to come into. Otherwise, he will be, what? Where am I? I don't know. Oh, John just came in. Where am I? But let's just do some listening. And let's make sure I've got this highlighted so that it's doing what I want it to do. Also, when you highlight, make sure you highlight both. If you've used a stem splitter, make sure you highlight both. Otherwise, you'll end up with two different tempos. Music in one tempo and the voice in another. And that's kind of funny. If you just want to goof off. Anyway, here we go. Okay, now when that happens, you have to adjust this guy here. And let me see. I think something has not happened the way I want it to. Hold on.
I read the news.
Okay.
I read the news.
When you slowed it down and stretched out the waveform.
Right, but you see, the highlight didn't match it because I re-highlighted it.
Oh, I got you.
So now, but that's okay. It's still slowed down, so I can change it with just these little guys here.
Cool.
All right. So, and we know that by looking at the waveform, he probably finishes. Read the news today. Oh, boy, it's probably right in there. I think we're all right. Let's see.
I read the news.
Nope. Still got to go farther.
I read the news today.
Farther.
I read the news
Oh, I see where it is.
today. I read the news today. Oh boy.
There we go. Okay, so the best advice I can give anyone who wants to learn how to sing like a great artist is start by listening. Most of us have not taken that advice as singers. Tony and I were musicians, and we did it when we were musicians. We didn't necessarily slow things down. We didn't necessarily have the technology at the time. Depends on what decade we were in. But we did slow things down as we played them to make sure that we're getting the details. And if we'd had this software, it would have been great, because you can get the details. And of course, when you buy a program, some guitar player is showing you exactly how somebody did something, you know, with video. I mean, that's terrific, but we didn't have that at the time. But now we have it here. So we're going to use the listening, not the singing, the listening. Now, when you actually learn this, Tony, or anyone else, I would suggest you listen to this in loop mode 30 or 40 times. We're not going to take the time to do that today. That would be kind of crazy, right? But
longest live stream ever.
Yeah, we'd be like here forever, and everybody be going. But I don't think anybody who's interested would not be going to sleep, because what you're going to notice here at this tempo is we're going to hear all kinds of things we've never heard before. So that's going to pique our interest. Then we're going to want to hear it again and again. Now, if we want to actually be able to identify it and use it as our own, we're going to have to listen to it enough times that we have absorbed it. Because we've proven with the sheet music and with Melodyne that John is unpredictable. We don't know when he's going to push or pull the beat. We don't know when he's going to sing flat or sharp or on pitch. So we have to absorb it. It has become part of our soul, so that when we try to create a unison with him, which is what we'll talk about later, that we're not listening to him. Because once we listen to him, we're either before him or behind him. You have to be absorbed it, and it takes quite a few times to get that. Then you sing, depends, 10, 20 times, depends on how well your listening went. And then you feel a unison. I like my guests to be involved. Tony, explain a unison with two voices, please.
Okay, so you have two singers singing the same line, and once it all comes together, you can't differentiate between the two voices anymore. It almost becomes an independent sounding voice once they are completely locked in place. Perfect choir advice. Thank you.
And also the same thing with harmonies. When you sing harmony with someone, you shouldn't really hear your pitch or theirs. You should hear a third pitch, a harmony. It's not actually a pitch, but a harmony. If you can hear individual pitches, then you're not quite with it yet. You haven't quite mastered it. So that advice is great for harmonies. It's great for stacking in the studio when you have to copy yourself. But the point is here is that as you're singing, after you've listened 30, 40 times, you start to feel, okay, I can't hear John that well anymore. I'm starting to hear kind of a blend between us, and now I'm getting the feel. Now I'm starting to get a unison. At that point, we do what's called multi-track recording. But let's do the listening first. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Here we go.
I read the news today, oh boy. 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 I read the news today, oh boy.
You know, I particularly love that last line because he's almost in the next bar, according to the sheet music. So, kind of just a reference point. What he's not doing is, I read the news today, oh boy. Okay? And he doesn't overpronunciate. I read the news, you know. So again, bad advice. He is almost sloppy. I read the news. Okay? And also, you listen to his voice. He's on kind of what, I don't really talk about technique too much in here, but it's worth saying that he's on the fry voice a little bit, if you know what that means. It's kind of a sound. And it works really well with microphones because if you make it louder, you lose the fry. So you let the microphone project, and you can get that. I read. And you think back to the Melodyne days, when we were looking at that, we saw some of these glissandos. I read the news, you know. And then again, I love that space he goes between, just before he says, oh. I mean, when you go slow, it's like, oh, that's a really long rest. So I'm just pointing out a few things that I heard really quickly because I've done this a lot. So, wait. Oh, boy. And those of us who know about the value of what's called dead space, it doesn't matter if it's speaking or singing, or many other movies use it. What it does is it creates anticipation. So whether Lennon actually thought of that or whether it was just instinctive to him, who we'll never know. But it creates anticipation. He read the news today. What? Wait a minute. This is an unfinished statement. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh, thank you, John. Okay, now we're back with you. But it's still in the groove. You hear people talk about the pocket. The pocket is very strict, and the band is in the pocket. I think Lennon's playing acoustic guitar here. I'm not sure if he's on the piano or acoustic guitar. But anyway, those guys are pretty much in the pocket, but because they can't play like he can with his voice. When you have a really good rhythm section, then you're free to play with all of these rhythms and so forth. What did you notice, Tony?
All the times that I have heard this, it's the same thing you picked up. I never caught that pause between that last word into "oh boy." I never caught it. And now that I'm hearing, it's a brilliant line right out of the gate. I read the news today. Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
There's something, just the words alone, as silly as they are, once they're put together, it's impactful. But I never realized why, when I hear it, it's as impactful as it is, until I heard that one big pause and then the inflection that he uses, especially on those last two words.
I know, it's just, this is, that if you saw that poster I made, great artists are not perfect, but they're greater.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about here. We are not putting these artists down. This is not one of those shows where we say, John Lennon lip-synced. No. Even if he did, I don't care, right? Okay. I want to learn from him. So this is not one of those flash shows. This is actual real information that you can take to your heart and learn how to be a far better artist. Because once this information, and Tony alluded to this earlier, once this information becomes a part of you, then you can start creating your own phrasing, your own feel, your own songs, your own way of doing things, but you have all the greatest singers in the world in your subconscious. That's the goal. Let's get these guys in our subconscious. That's what we thought we were doing in the first place. It wasn't a lack of trying. Tony and I were dedicated artists, or singers. I don't know if I'd call myself an artist, but we're dedicated to learning how to sing. And so we sang along with these people with the full intent of getting it right. We just didn't know, and I didn't know till about 20 years ago, I had never done this either. And so when I did it, it blew my mind. So, what? Man, I've been singing wrong all these years. And it's not to put ourselves down, it's to say, hey, okay, great, we've learned a lot, we can sing, now let's get the details. Let's listen 2 more times, and then what we'll have Tony do is he'll just sing along, practicing, trying to get a closer and closer unison. Now, he's never heard this tempo before, so, this is practice. He's not here to perform for you. This is practice. He's being a really nice guy and saying, look, I will show you something you didn't know, and it's going to make me look a little bit stupid, but I'm willing to do it anyway. Now, he may not, I was paraphrasing, he may not believe that, but when I do it, I feel stupid. Here we go.
I wasn't afraid until you phrased it this way.
I made Tony nervous. By the way, everyone, we are using the audio portion of the show is through Farplay, Farplay. They're not sponsors, but I love them. .io is the full website. And you'll notice that Tony and I can talk over each other. There's no echo cancellation. And the quality of the sound is just incredible. So if I was strictly on StreamYard, which is the video portion that we're broadcasting on, the audio would be far, far worse. I shouldn't say worse, because this is great. It wouldn't be anywhere near as good. And we would not be able to talk over each other like when you're on the phone and someone's talking and you try to cut in and you realize you can't because you can't hear yourself. And the other person notices and goes, oh, you go ahead. So you get this thing going on. Back in the days of walkie-talkies, they used to say, Roger, and then they would click. And that meant it was time for the other person to talk. I think we should do that with the phones, but I don't, that would take too much training. I say that tongue in cheek. All right, here we go. This is not a comedy show either. Sorry. Here we go. So now I'm going to give Tony more time. I do believe that I did get quite a bit this slowed down, but let me see here. Hold on, Tony. Yeah, okay. So we can start here, and you'll have plenty of time to get in the groove.
Okay.
I read the news today. Oh, boy. I read the news today. Oh, boy. I read the news today. Oh, boy. I read the news today. Oh, boy.
Do you want to start singing along, Tony?
Sure.
Okay. Here we go.
I read the news today, oh boy.
I read the news today. Oh, boy.
Let me remark that. I thought I had done this. All right, here we go.
I read the news today. Oh, boy.
Closer.
I read the news today. Oh, boy. 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 I read the news today. Oh, boy.
So what do you think, Tony?
I think that it is definitely not as easy as I thought it was going to be.
Well, I mean, how do you feel like you're getting closer, or you feel like you're fairly close? Or?
Yeah, you know, it's nice. I can hear when I'm missing something that he's doing. It jumps out very clearly, so it helps me kind of be able to correct that as I continue repeating it.
Right. So notice, everyone, that we're balancing this so he can hear both. If we balanced it so that all Tony could hear was Tony, or if all he could hear was Lennon, then he wouldn't have any idea. So he's feeling like he's gotten closer here. So again, if you're doing this on your own time, this takes a lot longer. A lot of listening, a lot of singing. Then, once you start feeling like, hey, I'm getting a lot better at this, I'm starting to feel like I'm with John, but I'm not sure, so I want to check it out. So now we're going to do what's called recording an extra track. This is a multi-track recorder. So we're going to record Tony's voice on a track all by itself so that he can listen to it and see how close or far off he is in unison. Here we go.
I read the news today. Oh, boy.
Very good. Wow.
That is great. How clearly I could hear the missteps. That's wonderful.
But you were so much closer. Wait till you hear this. So I'm free to listen, so I I can pick up these things. But
I wish I had this 20 years ago.
I wish I had it 70 years ago. I wish I was 2 years old doing this. Okay. All right. Okay. So we're listening back. We're not going to, again, listen to that whole introduction thing. We'll cut this a little bit shorter. But now, and actually, it's interestingly enough, we can actually also see with these waveforms. I think maybe I've exposed that a little bit too much.
You know, just as a side note too, being able to watch the waveform as I'm listening to sort of helped me understand exactly when he went in, what his, when he was getting a little bit more dynamic, a little less dynamic. Seeing the waveform helps.
Really?
It did.
Okay.
I caught myself actually almost using it to sort of cheat and find the timing a little better.
Well, I wouldn't call it cheating. However, I would recommend that you stay with feel.
Okay.
Over intellectualizing will eventually get in your way. I try. Well, I can't guarantee anybody does anything, but for me, the more I tried to use music theory or the more I tried to use visualizations and so forth, the worse it got. What I discovered was what I mentioned earlier: absorb.
Okay.
Because if you're watching the waveform, you're either going to be behind or ahead.
All right. Then I'm going to look away from the waveform.
Yeah. See, because your mind can't. Yeah, the mind's fast, but it's not that fast. So you're looking at it and you're seeing, okay, here it comes. Whoops. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. Right? So you get into this little game. Oh, I'm trying to match this up. But listening will fix that.
All right. Then I'm glad I confessed that to you.
I am too. I am too. All right. Because this is how I teach, guys. This is how I teach phrasing in my studio when people come here. Or if they're online with me, we do it over FarPlay. We don't use StreamYard because we're not streaming out to other people. But just so you know, this is something that I do on a regular basis. And you notice how I'm stopping and starting and looking at this and looking at that. If you've ever been in a recording studio, this is normal. I didn't rehearse all this because I wanted you to see what it's like if Tony had brought this to me for the first time and he's ready to learn it. This is what I wanted you to see. Here we go, listening to Tony singing in unison with John Lennon to the best he can with only a couple of practices.
I read the news today, oh boy.
Pretty good. Oh, I turned the wrong voice up.
I read the news today, oh boy. I read the news today, oh boy.
How'd that feel, Tony?
I'm actually pleasantly surprised. There are spots where I actually felt like it came together, and spots where it drifted a little bit, but I feel like I'm definitely on the right path as far as trying to emulate that.
What do you know now that you didn't know before?
Using what I think is the same style approach as far as how he uses his voice and his dynamic, and even like a little bit of that emotion towards the end where you can almost hear him. It's almost childlike, like, oh boy, like being able to bring that into part of the equation.
He was very childlike as an adult. If you watch that movie they did in the in 1970, actually, they're playing it on Disney Channel. You could they showed him rehearsing, the whole band, and John was always goofing off and dancing around and telling jokes and impromptu singing things, and so and McCartney was more serious in practice, but I think he was quite childlike when he performed as well, just depending on what he was doing. But here's what I heard was, now you know something you never knew, and it's now become a part of you. Of course, you'd want to do this more, really, like you said, really get it together. But, again, we'd be here all day if we did that. This is a lesson that Tony takes to his studio right behind him there, and does his own work. But having me tell you that this is very close and hearing it for yourself, what does that feel like?
I'm not sure how to put it into the words, but I can say that, you know, when I heard it hit those couple of unison points throughout, you know, the little spots where it did come together, there's a beautiful tone that seems to come together between both vocals lining up perfectly like that, for that, even if it's only for that one beat. I don't know exactly how to express how it just made me feel, as other than, holy crap, I could do this.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, that's right. Oh, cool. Okay. Yay.
Well, it is what it is, as they say. You know, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but that was how I felt, and that's how my other students feel when they actually finally, you know, do really nail it.
Good.
It's like,
okay.
Whoa. And
that's great.
That's why I have made this available in a video program. I'm not there in the video program, so I am in fact a deaf-dumb teacher when I do that. But because of this multi-tracking, you can verify whether you got it or not. People who study with me, they get it much faster because I can, you know, I know what I'm doing and I hear things and I can point things out. Like actually, this last time was the best time that you left that space between news and O.
Okay.
Listen for that. The other times you kind of, I read the news today. Oh, you kind of slid over a little bit, but this time you actually nailed that. Oh boy.
Okay.
And we'll talk about the range the song is in a moment too, in case you're wondering. This is too high for me to sing. I'm a bass. Here we go.
I read the news today, oh boy.
There's a definite rest there.
That is very, very, very cool.
Yeah. And also, you know, after you really get this and you want to listen to John more carefully, because this is stem split, you know, you can mute the music and, you know, the recording you did and just listen to John by himself.
I read the news today, oh boy.
You know, one of the things I'd like to point out for people who don't understand recording is listen to how much echo and reverb there is on this voice. Guys, that's not cheating. That's enhancing. It's a great vocal, reverb or not. So the reverb just and echo enhances it. And then when you hear it with the music, I'll put the music back in, it just makes it all blend together better.
I read the news today, oh boy.
It just makes everything nice, you know, instead of I can't make it a dry recording for you because it's already been done, but if you've ever heard a dry recording, it's kind of like, doesn't feel very good. And we've got some reverb on Tony's mic so that, you know, again, he could blend in. All right, so let's, you know, I think this goes up, this goes up to E4. So for some people that would be too high. They'd be trying, I read the, you know, they'd really be straining. And I don't recommend that by any means. So this has another terrific tool here. Let me scrub this again. Remove Tony's tracks so this doesn't get involved with that. And I'm just going to scrub this section. I go over to effect. I come down to pitch and tempo. And let's say, again, it's too high for me, so maybe C is as high as I can go. So I'm going to drop the 1, 2, 3, 4 semitones, it says right here. So it says 3 right now. Audacity doesn't necessarily know where it is. In fact, quite often I kind of superstitiously put a 0 in there first. And then I come back in and put the actual figure I want. So I'm at -4. And preview.
I read the news today, oh boy.
Okay, so again, if you have a lower voice for now and you haven't learned how to use your head voice like Tony and I have, it's a lot easier to sing now with it. I'll show you. I read the news today, oh boy. See, I don't have the timing at all. Tony totally outshined me there. But, I read the news. It's almost like in the talking range. And you could go lower. You can pick anything you want. Now, the women say, well, what about me? Okay, well, maybe an octave higher than this is like classical soprano sound, right? So you don't want to do that either. You want to have more of the chest voice rock sound or pop sound. So, you can change the key the other direction. First of all, I need to undo the pitch change. Then I come in here, and the approximate difference between men and women in pop music is approximately a fourth or a fifth, which is right around 7 to 8 semitones. So that's tempo. Let me get out of there. Back to pitch. And so now we're going to go up. So we're going to go up 6. Oops. And we don't have to put anything in there. No minus, no plus, just a 6. And preview it.
I read the news today. Oh,
But you see, if you're a girl singing with that, that's going to feel fairly normal, right? So we apply it. And now she's singing up to a B flat, which would be similar to a man's E. The women's voice and chest voice is similar to a man's E and chest voice. Of course, both of them should be head voice. But again, I don't go into technique here. I'm just talking in generalization so that you can kind of figure out what key you'd want to do it in. And then you can practice it like this.
I read the news today.
And with these volume controls here, if John's not as loud as I'd like him to be, I can turn him up right there.
I read the news today. Oh,
And of course, if we're listening to a woman sing, then we play with the keys same way for men, or maybe the women say, "Oh, I like that key. Just stay there." But this is what's so great about these new DAWs. By chance, if you're using Logic like Tony does, or you're into Pro Tools or whatever, you can do the same things with that software. This is just simple enough for most of the people I work with and myself to handle it. If you put me into Logic, I would be lost. But here I can teach really well with this. So we pretty much covered everything. Now, the only thing I didn't cover is you probably would want to eventually speed it up to the original tempo, so that you say, okay, now I really have the feel. I really have the way John did it. And if there was any, like if it was a fast riff and you were having any difficulty at some point and you wanted to make sure that when you performed it, it was super, super easy, then you speed it up beyond. You'd go 5%, 10% faster, so that you can really, when you perform it, you say, okay, now I can sit back in the groove and just sing it. And again, the long-term goal is, let me remove his voice. I'm going to play the singer here for a moment. So I'm muting him. I'm going to undo that pitch volume, and I'm going to undo that pitch change because I like the key he's in. All right, so if I'm going to do it as a potential artist, then I might do something like this. I read the news today, oh boy. And then I would listen back, say, oh, I like that, I don't like it, whatever, and play with it, and eventually be mine. And when it's mine, then I can call myself an artist. Even though I'm doing John's song, I can call myself an artist because I'm interpreting it my way. Tony did a great job of interpreting it right off. I read the news today. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. I know it kind of sounds silly, but Lennon was known for that. There's no songs that can't be. There's no songs that have ever. What was it? There's no song that has been sung that can't be sung. Stuff like that. It was like, oh yeah, well obviously, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, in
replaying vocals in my head. So.
Yeah, good. So yeah, we speed it back up and so forth. So let's get to the what's it called, the monetizing part of the show. Let me put this up. We're not going to share screens. Actually, I'm going to share screen one more time. There's one more thing I'd like you guys to hear. This is someone who has sung it the old way, the wrong way. And then someone who has learned through the program how to match the singer. And, okay, so I'm going to share the screen with you now. Let me start here at the beginning. Oops, there we go. Do that. I'll share it with you in just a moment on the stage, but I'm trying to get this ready to play.
Hi,
Okay.
this is Brad Chapman.
Oh, yeah, he's
Radical
there already.
vocal
Hold on,
coach.
hold on.
I'm going
hey,
to show
wait a minute.
you how Ed Sheeran
Here
is
we
such
go.
a great, incredible star, etc. In other words, not only him, but you'll see why it adapts to any singer.
Let me explain why I'm showing this. So this is a little demo I made so that you can understand kind of from 0 to 60 how this thing works. Obviously, it took a lot of time for it to go from the beginning to the end. You're going to hear a section of Ed Sheeran singing first, and then you'll hear the singer trying to sing along the way we talked about earlier, which is not the best way. And then you'll hear the singer in unison, approximately with Ed. All right, now that I've opened my big yap, here we go. From the beginning, guys, here we go.
Hi, this is Brad Chapman, Radical Vocal Coach. I'm going to show you how Ed Sheeran is such a great, incredible star, etc. In other words, not only him, but you'll see why it adapts to any singer. The way we try to learn from these people has not been working. Didn't work for me, doesn't work for hardly any student I've had or anybody I've ever known. So I'm going to show you the way we do it, and you'll see why it doesn't work. Then I'll show you the results of my VMS system, and you're going to love it.
Vocal
Hang on
Muse
for
Suite.
a great ride.
But I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart is falling too. I'm in love with your body now.
Well, I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. And though my heart keeps falling too, I'm in love with your body now.
Or I'm in love with the shape of you. We push and pull like a magnet do. Although my heart keeps falling too. I'm in love with your body now.
So that is the promo for the actual video. We'll get out of this share screen now. I'm just going to close that. Get back to StreamYard. Okay, we're out of there. All right. So you can find the website for the program right here with the little duck in the center. That's not me, that's StreamYard. But this QR will put your phone up to there, and that'll send you to the website that talks about the Vocal Muse Suite. Then I'm proud to announce my new book has come out, and it's available over here on this QR, and it's called Sing From Feel, Unleashing Your Authentic Self. So that was what we talked about at the end, was of being your authentic self. But we need tools to do that. So there is a paragraph or a chapter in there on the Vocal Muse Suite. But the long-term goal is, don't get me wrong, the long-term goal is artistry, not mimicry. You can stop there if you want. You can go to karaoke and show everybody how you can sing like Ed Sheeran if you want. I had to slow that Ed Sheeran song down almost 60% to catch that one little riff in there. And he was off pitch on one of the riffs. So I wasn't sure whether he was flat or sharp because the riff was here. And so an actual scale would be, so he left that out. So I couldn't tell for sure if it was, or looking at a Melodyne because he was right in there, right? And the Melodyne wasn't sure either. So it really makes a big difference when you're trying to learn details that which as we've spoken is what makes these people great is the details. Slow it down. Even if you don't buy my program, slow it down. You'll be way ahead of the game. Not very many people do this. I'm trying to build that. Many, many, many more people will be doing it. We'll be having a lot more what used to be average singers moving into the upper echelons and becoming what I call, you will be in the same world as Ed Sheeran. Maybe you won't be as famous, but you'll be able to sing like people like that. And that'll be great. I mean, that's what you want, right? Nobody can guarantee stardom. If anybody tries to tell you they can guarantee stardom, they're trying to suck your wallet, so be careful. Tony and I have been around long enough to know that one. Yeah. Any comments, my friends? Thank you so much for being my guest.
Thank you very much. It is an absolute pleasure. And I'm just going to add a little something, an unsolicited plug, if you don't mind.
Well, as long as you don't make me pay for it. You said unsolicited, right?
So I started seeing Brad. It's been about 2.5, 3 months now.
Time flies.
Yeah, it does. It does. After I've had a few surgeries for vocal cords, and I've been through a few really wonderful teachers and some. That's all I have to say about that. But I do want to say that I am extraordinarily grateful for you, Brad, because you have already helped me refocus and relearn and reapproach things that I have been approaching based on old habits for so many years, and you're helping me break those habits, and I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure. It's what I do. It's my fun. It's my holiday. It's what I do. And I don't know. I don't really particularly like this, but like and subscribe, please, to my channel. YouTube uses that for their algorithms to decide what they're going to promote and what they aren't. And it would really help everyone learn at a faster pace with this Vocal Muse system by liking and subscribing right here on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, if you're on Instagram or if you're on Facebook, then you can go to YouTube and you can subscribe. And then, of course, you'll know when my shows are coming up. And I can't tell you when they're going to come up because I love coaching one-on-one. That's my thing. And I do these when I have time. So I can't tell you when the next one's going to be. So enjoy. I usually do post them at least 3 or 4 days ahead of time. So if you're subscribing, you'll be able to see it. And you'll be able to say, hey, I want to go join Brad and whoever his guest is. Maybe it'll be Tony. I liked him. I'm going to go and see him at a restaurant now. He's great. Or a bar or wherever he's playing. Do you have any pitches you want to make for anything coming up for your shows?
Let's see. I'm doing every Monday night at Trattoria Reggiano in downtown Summerlin, and I just got a possibility that I'm probably going to be doing another restaurant down in town center. So once that's confirmed, I'll let you know. But it looks like that's going to be on a weekend night. And then every other Thursday, we're producing a show that we're starting to work on called The Heist. So that's I'll have that all up on my Facebook and my Instagram pages, sharing it.
Oh, come on. What's The Heist? Come on.
Okay, so The Heist is The Heist is an interesting history about how Italian artists were writing music and writing these amazing songs, and American companies and record companies and artists were going in and discovering these songs, coming back to the United States, rewriting them in their own way, while still keeping them far too close to the originals, and basically just stealing all of these wonderful songs. But the nice thing about it is it turned out that it created stardom for both the Italian and the American artists, even though the Americans stole from the Italians in a lot of instances. And it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek fun thing, but it's a very interesting history about how much music just between Italy and America was liberated from each other, and it's happened it's happened all over the world in other countries, but we're just focusing on the Italian side for this.
What part of this? What century was that in?
I'm going to tell you, it started back in the 40s,
Wow.
and it's still happening as recent as within the last 5 years.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, thanks everyone. Love you. See you later. Bye bye.
Bye-bye, guys.